A columnist at the liberal journal, The Atlantic, is calling for Joe Biden to step aside in 2024. There are probably more pieces like this one coming in the future. The more worried the Democrat media complex becomes about Joe's chances, the more their talking heads will suddenly realize how old Biden is and how crazy it is to think he can function as president for another 4 years. They have no love for Biden, he has just been useful to them. Once he is no longer considered useful, they will toss him aside like an old newspaper. Biden presented himself, correctly, as a decent, experienced, and entirely normal politician. He may even have saved his country. Americans owe him a profound debt of respect and appreciation. He also has no business running for president at age 80. I say that with considerable feeling, being in my late 60s and knowing that my 70s are not far off. I am as healthy as any late middle-aged person, admittedly. I cringe at the word old, which tells you something right there, can be. But I know that at this stage, I do not have the energy I had a decade ago. I forget more things, and if my body does not hurt when I wake up in the morning, a little voice in my head asks whether I am dead and do not yet know it. President Biden is 80 years old. If he gets re-elected, he will be 86 by the time his term expires. He will have spent, at the end of that time, nearly half a century as a senator, vice president, or president, positions all calculated to inflate one's self-image. As president, he has surrounded himself with former aides and dutiful technocrats, no peers who can look him straight in the eye and say, with the gravitas born of expertise and self-confidence, "Mr. President, I profoundly disagree." Perhaps this is what he has always done, but it is particularly striking now. We can, perhaps, forgive Professor Cohen for his failure to comment on Biden's disastrous performance in office. He does, after all, come from deep in the heart of the liberal university system. He is also clearly able to ignore the growing body of evidence that Joe Biden and his family have engaged in decades of corruption and money laundering, potentially leaving him compromised when it comes to foreign adversaries. All of these facts should prove sufficient to give Uncle Joe a nudge toward the door. What comes after that, though? The left only cares about retaining power. If Joe Biden threatens that, he will be history. Will he even make it to the 2024 election?